This is Diana Wells coming to you live from Heartland Park, because that's what Sarah told us to do. We are here to ask Atara, Peter's sister, some important questions. So grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and don't forget the tissues, because it might get emotional. We've been tracking Atara's every move so that she will be at this spot on this day at this time exactly. Oh look, here she comes now.
Excuse me, Atara. May I bother you with a couple of questions? It won't take long.
It won't take long? That's what all of them say. But 4 hours later, they're still there bothering me with questions like I have things to do and places to be. Especially absurd questions like how great Peter is.
That's actually what I was wanting to talk to you about today.
Yeah, that's what they all say. Peter's so great. But I tend to disagree. You want the real story? Meet me at Broadhead Place tonight and I'll tell you there.
We're back with Atara, Peter's sister, to ask her some important questions about her brother. So, Atara, how was it like growing up with Peter?
First off, his name actually isn't Peter, it's Simon. But Jesus gave him the nickname Peter, and we all know Jesus is too legit to quit, so I let it go. But honestly, I don't think Peter is like a rock. I think he's more like a little pebble. We grew up near the Sea of Galilee as a humble working family, but we all know Peter did not end up humble in the end.
So, this Jesus guy, how did Peter feel about him? From what I can tell, he seemed like a big influence on Peter's
Well,
life.
you see, Peter was always talking about Jesus' death and resurrection and how it became the new covenant and enabled a new life. But I really need to stretch my legs. I am sorry.
I guess that's okay.
But speaking of Jesus' death, what was Peter's reasoning for betraying him 3 times?
Peter is actually just like a big wimp and was afraid to realize that Jesus is the true Savior, so he should not have denied him. He was afraid of getting killed, but he should have not have been afraid of getting killed because he would have just been returning to Jesus, which is pretty great in heaven. That was probably one of Peter's darkest moments, so to be honest. It was a bad night for him. But to give him a little credit, he did fall to the floor weeping because he realized what such an idiot he had been.
So, this Jesus guy, he died and resurrected again, right? So for me, that would seem pretty awkward to deny someone 3 times and then see them alive again. So what was going on in Peter's head when this happened?
I felt much grief and sorrow and guilt from that night. It was really sad. But he had become just as loyal as before to the disciples and to Jesus until his death in 67 AD. Tear. I still have trouble forgiving him sometimes, but he becomes better now and become a great pebble in the church.
Well, you've heard it, folks. That was Peter of Zebedee, the inside look. Tune in next time for Matthew. Is he a real disciple or not?